My esteemed viewers, in this tutorial we will continue to discuss on link layer in general and address resolution protocol and Ethernet in particular. Because there are both network layer addresses and link layer addresses that are present at a link layer level, there is a need to translate the link layer address, that is MAC address, to IP address and vice versa. This translation or the resolution of IP address to MAC address is taken care by a very predominant protocol that exists in link layer, namely the address resolution protocol. The MAC address is the physical address of the device. As I told in the previous tutorial, it has hexadecimal notation requiring 48 bits. This address is unique number given to an adapter card or network interface card. Whenever a node desires to communicate with other node, it needs MAC address of that particular device. To understand, the node will use ARP to acquire the MAC address of another device in a LAN. Here device would mean a node. To understand further the need for a protocol such as ARP, consider this particular diagram, this particular picture shown in this slide. In this simple picture, you can see every node given a single IP address as well as, and each node's adapter has a single MAC address. As usual, IP addresses are shown in dotted decimal notation and MAC addresses are shown in hexadecimal notation. Now suppose that the node with an IP address, let us say 222 something, some IP address, for example this particular node wants to send a frame to this or wants to communicate to this. It is essential that this particular node is knowledgeable about the MAC layer address or the physical address or the adapter card number of this particular node. So ARP will develop an ARP table containing every node's physical address as well as IP address in an incremental fashion. Let us say if a node A wants to communicate with node C, node A knows the IP address of C. IP address is used to locate the device on a network because IP address represents a geographical address of a node in a network, and it is subjected to change. As the node moves, IP address will also get changed. While the MAC address identifies the device physically, MAC address is called flat because it remains the same whenever the node moves to any location, because it represents the physical presence. Literally, it represents the physical presence of a node. Before the computer tries to know the MAC address of C, it looks into the internal list that is processed by it, and the internal list is called as ARP cache or ARP table. It sends, otherwise if it is absent, if the C's MAC address is not available in the available ARP table, then the node A sends the broadcast message on 255.255.255.255. This is broadcast IP address. It has been delved into in a network layer. Okay, destination address, asking for the MAC address of known IP address. It will also attach MAC broadcast address FF. Okay, in that particular field. This message containing packet is also called as ARP packet, and ARP packet will move. Let us say this is the node which wants to communicate to C. Therefore it will say because in order to communicate to C, A should know the MAC address of C, and of course A will know the IP address of C, IP address of B, and IP address of D, because this has been the task of network layer. Okay, A is knowledgeable about IP address, but A is not knowledgeable about the MAC address. Therefore MAC address of C. Therefore it will prepare an ARP packet and it will send it to as a it will broadcast. So this particular ARP packet will move to every other node, and C, upon catching this particular ARP packet, will mention its address, its MAC address, and send it back to A. Thus A will be obtaining, ARP packet will be received by B, it responds to this ARP by response message indicating its MAC address. After receiving ARP response message from B, initiates the communication. A initiates communication and records the MAC address of B. ARP table is thus built progressively in every node of a LAN. ARP table contains IP addresses and associated MAC addresses of nodes in a LAN, and it will look something like this. IP address, so it is a 3-columnar table where IP address is there, MAC address is there, and time to live is there. Time to live here is how long this particular MAC address and this particular mapping holds good for a given LAN. Okay, there can be two kinds of LANs, as you know. One is dynamic and other one is static, and particularly in a static kind of a LAN, ARP has to develop this mapping table or translation table, whatever, one time. And if it is a dynamic network, dynamic LAN, it will be subjected to change. In that particular situation, ARP builds a translation table, something like this, ARP table or ARP cache, something like this, progressively by sending ARP packets, which is a request packet, okay, to all the other nodes, and that's how it gathers. Every node gathers the MAC address of every other node in the LAN. When ARP table is progressively built over a LAN, node A need not have to broadcast seeking MAC address of any other node. It can just refer ARP table and start communicating. So with this, we discussed ARP and its significance, and we come to know ARP is a must in order to effect the translation of MAC address to IP address and vice versa. It is akin to DNS protocol, that is domain name service protocol, that is available in application layer. So with this, we will continue to discuss on Ethernet. Ethernet has pretty much taken over the wired LAN market. Okay, Ethernet is actually wired LAN. Ethernet is by far most prevalent wired LAN technology, and it is likely to remain so for the foreseeable future. Ethernet will look like this. Okay, this is a local area network, and every other system, every other node is connected with a wire, and a typical LAN wire, a typical link will look like this. Okay, there are pretty good reasons for many reasons for Ethernet success. First, Ethernet was the first widely deployed high-speed LAN. Because it was deployed early, network administrators became intimately familiar with Ethernet. It wonders and it quirks and are reluctant to switch over to other LAN technologies when they came on the scene. Second, the token ring, FDDI, and ATM were more complex and expensive than Ethernet, which further discouraged network administrators from switching over. Thirdly, the most compelling reason to switch to another LAN technology such as FDDI or ATM was unusually they will have unusually higher data rate of the new technology. However, Ethernet always fought back, producing versions that operated at equal data rates or higher. Switched Ethernet was also introduced in the early 1990s, which further increased its effective data rates. Finally, because Ethernet has been so popular, Ethernet hardware, in particular say adapters, hubs, and switches, have become a commodity, and they are remarkably cheap. Ethernet frame structure comes something like this. This is the direction of the motion. We have preamble bits, okay, 8 bytes, 8 bytes, and this is 6 bytes destination address. It's hexadecimal notation, destination address, where it has to go at the link layer level, where it has come from, source address. Okay, so this is adapter address of the destination node, and this is the adapter address of from where this particular frame has emanated. Type is equivalent to or analogous to the type of protocol to which, or the upper layer protocol to which this particular data is to be handed over to, and this particular data field varies from 46 bytes to 1500 bytes, and this type field will indicate to which protocol the datagram of the network layer is to be handed over to. After all, and the last trailer part of this particular frame happens to be CRC code. Okay, preamble serves, this preamble bits serve as a wake-up call to receiving adapters and to synchronize their clocks. Okay, so with the preamble bits, it is said that the sender's adapter and receiver's adapter will get synchronized. They will synchronize their clocks to that of the sender's clock. Each of the 7 bytes among 8 bytes, each of the first 7 bytes of the preamble has the value 10101010. The last byte, the 8th byte, is 10101011. The first 7 bytes of the preamble serve to wake up the receiving adapters, because there is an alternate bits 101010, so that there is no monotony. Okay, the receiving adapters and to synchronize their clocks to that of the sender's clock. It will look like this: 10101010, the first byte, the second byte, third byte, fourth byte, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Okay, the 8th byte will be like this at the end. So this will herald the beginning of the destination address or ending of the preamble bits. Okay, this entire stream of the bits with a particular fashion, with a particular pattern, will always wake up the receiver and the receiver's clock and the sender's clock, so that they will be in synchrony. Destination address, this field contains the MAC address of the destination adapter. As I said earlier, when the receiver receives the Ethernet frame, it passes the contents of the frame data field to the network layer. If it receives a frame with any other MAC address, it discards the frame. Source address, this field contains the MAC address of the adapter that is known to you, that is known to us obviously, that transmits the frame into the LAN. Type 2 bytes is similar to the protocol field in the network layer datagram, and the port number fields, output port number fields in the transport layer segment. All of these fields serve to glue a protocol at one layer to a protocol at the other layer above. Data field, it happens to be of length minimum of 46 bytes to 1500 bytes. This field carries IP datagram, of course. The maximum transmission unit of Ethernet is 1500 bytes. This means that if the IP datagram exceeds 1500 bytes, then the host has to fragment the datagram. The minimum size of the data field is 46 bytes. This means that if IP datagram is less than 46 bytes, the data field has to be stuffed to fill it out to 46 bytes. When stuffing is used, the data passed to the network layer contains the stuffing as well as the IP datagram. The network layer uses the length field in the IP datagram header to remove the stuffing. Of course, the length field is available in the IP datagram, as you would recall. Okay, the cyclic redundancy code, that is CRC code, the purpose of this CRC field is to allow the receiving adapter, that is adapter of other node, that is B, let us say B, to detect bit errors in the frame. And in order to bring in some kind of a wake up, actually the coding that is done for the that Ethernet uses what is called as a baseband transmission. That is, the adapter sends a digital signal directly into the broadcast channel. Okay, the interface card does not shift the signal into another frequency band. Okay, many Ethernet technologies also use what is called as Manchester coding. Okay, with Manchester coding, each bit contains a transition. A 1 has a transition from up to down, whereas 0 has a transition from down to up. That means a pulse. So this is one. This is how 1 is represented. Therefore, a pulse will have some kind of a 2-bit. Say one pulse is divided into 2, so that there will be continuity, and there is no monotony. As far as 0 is concerned, it is from low to high. The reason for Manchester encoding is that the clocks in the sending and receiving adapters are not perfectly synchronized. By including a transition in the middle of each bit, the receiving host can synchronize its clock to that of the sending host, and the receiver will be able to guess what is the bit that is coming, what is the bit that is preceding a particular bit. For example, if this is the bit stream 100010100001, and had it been a binary code, binary encoding, the entire length from here till here would have been at the lower energy, and if it were to be all ones, it will be once again at a higher energy level, and there will be a monotony. And synchronization becomes bit tough. Therefore, a bit pulse is divided into 2. So for 1, while representing 1, it is hard. See, the energy goes from higher energy to lower energy, and here from lower energy to higher energy. And if there is a continuation of a similar kind of bits, that is a 0 0 0, at every change there is a transition. Here there is a transition, at the boundary there is a transition, and here there is a change from 0 to 1, there is no transition. This is how a receiver will be able to identify what is following what bit. Let us say what is following an individual bit, what is the bit that is going to come next. Okay, we will just explain as to how we can encode the bits into Manchester coding. Here is an example that is being done. Okay, now we will do that. Okay, let us say this is the bit pattern 1011001111, and this is the pulse width, this is the bit pulse width. Okay, now 1 has to go from higher to lower level. What comes next is 0. 0 has to go from lower to higher level. Okay, from low to high. So it has to go like this. What comes next is 1. 1 is always from high to low. Therefore, it has to go like this. What comes next is also once again 1. Okay, therefore, this is once again from high to low. Therefore, in order to achieve high to low, there should be a transition over here at the boundary. Once again, it will go from high to low. Here, once again, there is 0 that is coming. Okay, 0 is always from low to high. Therefore, it has to be taken till here. Then once again, there is 0. The next following bit is also 0. That's again from low to high. Therefore there is a transition. So wherever there is a repetition of a same kind of bit, there will be a transition at the boundaries. Here you can see very clearly low to high, high to low, high to low. That is the representation. In order to achieve high to low, there is a transition. High to low once again. Okay, high to low. So all this, say 1 1 1 1, and there is a transition at the boundary. So this is good enough for the receiver to identify what is following what. Okay, therefore Manchester coding has highest efficiency in keeping guard of what is called as the synchrony between receiver and sender. So my respected viewers, with this we complete this particular tutorial, and if you liked this, kindly subscribe to my channel. Until we come to we will be taking over to other tutorial, let us say wireless technologies. Until then, bye.